Hey guys, what's going on? It's Russell here. So I wanted to talk about last week's Goldman alerts and Sidekick traders. So I think things went really well this last week. I think yesterday was a particularly good day for Goldman. I think if I show you the results here really quick, this was his daily scalping results on SPX. So you got 15% on the first trade and then 385% on the second trade. Absolutely amazing. Subscribers were able to replicate it as well. I was able to make some profits here on my futures account. So just trading ES and just took 1,800 odd bucks, bringing my evaluation futures account to $102,187. So that was really exciting. Let's talk the trade. Let's go through some of the stuff. Before I get started, I just want to make sure you guys know how to find this. If you want to join, I'll leave this link in the description below. It gives you access to the Sidekick Traders Discord for 3 days trial. So it used to be a week, but we're shortening it to 3 days. A week is plenty time. It's actually a little bit too much time because what happens is you always get a couple of people who think they're being smart and gaming the system by putting in some prepaid credit card, and then every week they sit there in their little mom's basement and they change over the card number and they go hee, I'm just gonna get another free week here, and they just do that endlessly. So in order to combat that and reducing the trial to 3 days, that makes them work a bit harder if nothing else to try and game the system. And so what happens is the prepaid credit card just gets rejected and then they just repeat that endlessly. So that's why a lot of places don't do things like free trials. I think a lot of people think that free trials are, if the service is good, why don't they do free trials? Well, because people game the free trials non-stop. And so you've got to try and find a balance, right? You want people to try out a service, but also not to get totally exploited non-stop by these 18-year-olds in their mom's basement with prepaid credit cards. Anyway, so the Sidekick Traders is basically Sir Goldman scalping SPX. He went on a big winning streak, 32 in a row. It's very varied now. It's nothing like as good as this, but we're still making plenty of money on it. I'll show you some of the wins in the chat room in a few minutes too. The wins are generally large, so 20% to 500%. Typically the losses can be kind of large, not so much for options though, so if you're used to taking 30 or 40% losses, the losses, they're fairly infrequent. They're typically 30%, which might seem like a lot if you're not used to this style of trading, but when you're risking 30% for anywhere from 20 to 500%, it actually makes a lot of sense. So talk a little bit about that. Lance is also doing some awesome trades. So he's doing some swing trades and some day trades on SPY, on the futures, large cap stocks. They're going pretty well as well. I'll show you a couple of those. And then Josh is doing a Monday trade where he sets a spread on the Russell 2000. We want to start talking a bit more about that because it's a really cool trade. It's just like the opposite of Sir Goldman though. So Sir Goldman is for crackhead scalpers, where you want to basically just get alerted and take a couple of trades a day and make significant money hopefully. And then Josh is doing these much more chilled out, passive swing trades on the Russell 2000. And so I've put the price up a little bit too, put it to $37 a month, slowly increasing here. The value is worth so much more than this, so $37 is still a total bargain. Maybe it'll stay here for another week or so. Maybe it'll go up. We'll see. Just kind of trying to find that right price point where everybody's extremely happy. But we have enough money to keep growing this service and improve it. So here's Discord, Sidekick Traders. For you guys that have been in it, you know what you're looking at here. Lance is alerting. So Lance has his own service, Theta Traders, which is all about the sell side. This is basically his buy side stuff. So he's taking trades like this SPY trade. You got a 11% return on that. These trades are much more slow and steady. They're still day trades usually, but they're much less crackhead speed that you need for Goldman's, which is in this channel right here. So if you're having a hard time with Goldman, we try and give as much advice as possible on how to get into these fast SPX scalps. But if you're having trouble with that, try Lance's channel. It's a bit more laid back, you might have more luck there. And Lance is really helpful. He'll talk you through his trades in detail and help you out when needed. So yeah, so let's talk about the main meat of this service, which is the SPX scalps. This was, let's see where we're at yesterday, watching calls. Yeah, what a day. So these are the alerts that start to come out. SPX entry 39.50 calls at 195, then missed that pump, got in at this one, scaled out. I'll show you the chart in a minute. So this was the first kind of trade here. And then so what happened is, if we look at my brokerage account here, this is the SPX for yesterday. Goldman initially made an entry here and then really went in here. So you average down to around here somewhere. And then this is the 1 minute chart, so you can see it just went straight up, a bit of a flag almost, and then continued all the way up. And so Goldman scaled out over time, and eventually took all of his profits up here, which is truly amazing because that corresponded to something like 365% gains on those contracts. And you can see these all time stamped. So at 1023 he'd already made 200%. If we go to 1023, which is way over here, this was the 200% mark. And so you can see that some of these trades move quickly and people get put off, but some of them move really slowly. Like you had a chance to get in lower here than Goldman did, and you had 10-20 minutes to scale out of this trade. So it's not like all of them just go straight up or straight down. They can be pretty laid back, relatively obviously, for this style of trading. So I thought that was really, really cool. I know somebody in the chat room so Goldman got 385%. Somebody in the chat room got something similar but with SPY. So if we go to the chat room here, I always like to show what's really going on with subscribers and things. This guy got 315% on the 395 calls on SPY. So some people are playing SPY. Some people are playing the SPX contracts. And then some people like me currently are playing the futures ES on this stuff. And somebody asked me, well, why would you play the ES and not SPX or SPY? And there's a couple of reasons for that. So the first one is pretty simple, is that I'm trying to get a funded futures account. And so in order to get the funded futures account, you have to trade futures. So something like ES or MES. So one thing he asked was, well, you made this $1,800, it's fantastic, good. But if you'd played the SPY contracts, you would have made a lot more. So I said, hey, why don't we analyze what would have happened in each scenario, talk about it in this video, and kind of you guys can make up your own mind whether you want to try futures on this, or SPY, or the actual SPX contracts that Goldman does. So let's just take his most recent trade, which was his 350% roughly. These were scaled out, so it's not like he held his whole position, but for this example, let's assume that he held the whole position for 350% to keep the math easy. And so on the futures, that corresponded to 40 points. So if we look at my broker again here, this is ES on the right. Obviously, it matches the SPX levels right here. And so I marked the top and the bottom, and it's a 40-point difference. So maybe you can see that. Sometimes Thinkorswim is really hard to see on these things. Anyway, it's a 40-point difference. And for you guys that are used to trading futures, each point on ES is worth $50. So basically the profit on that with one contract, if you'd held the whole move, would have been $2,000. Now given that a position on the ES is $4,000 roughly, you would have made about 50% if you'd held that whole move, which is a lot less than the 350% that he did on the SPX contracts. So for example, if he took a $4,000 position using the SPX contracts, double would be 8,000, triple would be 12,000. So you can see you're making a lot more money if you do the SPX contracts. So 16,000 would be the next one, right? So why would you choose to do the futures as opposed to playing the SPX like he did? Well, there's 2 or 3 reasons. The first one is, well, the main one is I'm trying to build an eval account here, right? So you can see here, this is my eval account balance. I have to get this to 106,000 in order to get $100,000 of real capital to play with. So this is an evaluation account. It's actually, these funded futures accounts are really good for scalping because the way the drawdown works is you want to be getting, they have all these complex rules, but you want to be getting in on a spike and you want to take that profit quickly rather than hold it for a day and let the thing come all the way down. It's just a weird way that this trailing drawdown they have works. So it's ideal suited for this type of style of trading, these scalps. The cool thing about the scalps is they only take 5 or 10 minutes of time as well. Anyway, so if you got 50% on the futures, you'd say, well, why would you want to do that instead of SPX? Well, one of the big things is the options. the options are double-edged sword, right? Sure, you can get 350%, but you can also get much, much bigger losses as well. So you can get an 80% loss. Whereas with the futures, you're not going to get as big of a loss, right? Big of percentage loss. So double-edged sword, you can make more, you can win more, you can lose more with options than with the futures contracts. Futures have another couple of things though that, I'm pretty new to futures, so I really ignored futures for most of my trading career. Usually I've just been trading stocks and contracts. Futures though, there are a couple of really, really good points. And the first one is like, if you have a fake breakout, so if you have a breakout, say, I'll try and find one on here that, say you're buying the breakout here, right? So imagine you're starting to buy on this, and then you have this big move up. The options premium can jump, and if you jump in here, you end up getting a higher premium than you really should due to the volatility. That's on the options contracts on SPX. Now, if that breakout fails like it did here, then you end up taking a much more significant loss than you really should have, because the prices of the options contracts were inflated due to the volatility on the fake breakout. So when you have losses with the options contracts on SPX, they can often be significantly more than they should be, even if you set a stop loss for break even because of the underlying price, right? I hope that makes sense. If you don't know much about extrinsic value for options, it's worth looking into and learning about, because it's one of the key reasons you want to buy futures, because the futures stop losses will be much more realistic, much more in line with what you'd expect with the underlying price kind of thing. Hopefully that makes sense. It's one of the reasons though that futures is something that you might want to consider. The big reason that a lot of people are doing it though, like I said, is to try and get these funded futures accounts where you can get other people's money and you pay like $30 a month for access to 100 grand of capital, which is really nice. So yeah, there's some good results. This is Lance, Investing Teacher. He's doing his channel here. He made 8% using Goldman's and I think his own alerts yesterday as well. So definitely some people making some money here. I think looking through, just see Neil G got 110 to 150, so a bit of the move, which is good. Yeah. So a lot of good stuff going on. If you want to come and join, I would, because this Discord used to be priced somewhere between $100 and $200 a month, which is a little on the high side, which is why I've reduced it dramatically as I'm starting to revamp this. I think $37 a month is pretty fair. I think it's in line with other people. I think we'll keep it there for a little bit, and then if we add a lot more stuff, which is kind of the plan, then we'll probably want to put that up a little bit more. So for people that join now, though, you're going to be locked in at these prices for life. Alright guys, hopefully that was helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.